Okay, now we're gonna do the furniture. It's interesting when we're doing this stuff, it's in order to get rid of like some of the line erasing, we start with the furniture first, and we'll start with the biggest furniture first. So the biggest thing that we should have in our room is either a couch or a bed. I'm doing a bedroom, I'm gonna do a bed. So I'm gonna make my bed look like it's on this back wall, and then it's kind of coming out in the center of the room. So we're gonna draw our headboard in. So I'm gonna mark down here how big I want this to be. This is about 9 centimeters. I want this to be about a third of the way, so it's gonna be about 3. So I'm gonna mark 3 and 6. It's gonna be kind of a small bed. It's a little twin bed, and that's fine. So I'm gonna draw some vertical lines that don't quite go up to the center of the room. Gotta get a little more lead there. And then a horizontal line. When we're making this bed, we're actually doing a lot opposite of what we are used to doing in perspective. We're used to drawing the shape first, then going towards the vanishing point. With this one, we're gonna go from the shape, from the vanishing point through the shape. So my bed's gonna be about this tall, and the rest is gonna be headboard. I'm gonna have a really tall headboard. So right now we have this kind of box with a line going through it. Sorry, a rectangle with a line going through it. Now we're gonna create that box. So we're gonna go from the vanishing point through where our bed hits the floor. We're gonna draw it out. And then from the vanishing point through where the bed hits the floor, I'm gonna draw it out. I'm gonna make it even with the door so they can actually open the door and it's not hitting the bed. So I don't need these lines. I just drew it a little longer than I should have. And then we're gonna draw from the vanishing point and through where this line hits the rectangle. So from the vanishing point where that line hits the rectangle. And then I'm gonna connect this bottom rectangle to these 2 lines I just made. And then I'm going to I think this line down here is not as straight as I want it to be. Just fine, it just means my bed's gonna be a little wonk. I'm gonna erase this because I don't like it. I didn't do anything wrong. I did this bottom line a little crooked, so that I made the rest of the lines really, really crooked. So I need to make sure, as I've said multiple times, we need to make sure that our lines are very straight. Otherwise we end up with it can just end up throwing everything off. So now I'm gonna draw those lines to go up. I'll often do the top and the bottom first, and then the sides, because I can deal with a little bit of wonkiness this way. It's hard to deal with wonkiness going that way. So now I'm gonna erase these lines, I don't need them. I'm gonna erase these lines in here because I don't need them. Erase this because I don't need it. This bottom rectangle part. There we go. Bed, headboard. You can kind of soften up the headboard by putting these little kind of soft X's in there. And it looks then like it's slightly upholstered, so I'm kind of making these rounded X's. And it kind of creates this sense of softness. We can also, like, once we know that it's there, we can soften it by like rounding out the edges. And then erasing the parts we don't need. We can even do things like create that little fold that can sometimes happen. And again, you can soften it by like rounding out these edges. Soften the bed by rounding out the edges. Once you have the lines in, you can totally just play around and create this like, just use the lines as a way of separating. And if you don't want to look like the mattress is on the floor, instead you can like have this like be a blanket that comes down here. And if you notice, I'm just making like wobbly lines. I'm in no way trying to actually create folds in the fabric. I'm just creating kind of wobbly lines so it looks a little more soft. You can even get some pillows on here. And again, this is all freehand. At this point, I already have my guidelines. I know where things are in space, so I can just kind of add freehand some pillows in there. Pretty easy.